Hello, everybody. How are you? I see a lot of familiar names. So Dula and Doug and Enrique Gang, Ignacio, Joseph, Marcio, Shin, and Steve and Thomas. So great. Thank you very much, guys, and Victor. Uh, thank you very much for coming. I really love these webinars because they are pushing me to learn, and we'll be talking about exactly that, about learning. Okay, so I am opening the chat here the chat, and on that chat I'm saying hello from Houston. Okay, and that prompts you in the way of prompting to say hello from RTP, for example. And I really like having you here, so please tell me hello from so and so. Okay, but let us share the screen. Okay, so sharing the screen. And I see hellos, and that's very nice. Okay, so what you need, guys, is that link. So I'm giving you that link on the chat. And you will then open and see exactly what I'm seeing. So for those people who are new, and there are maybe a few people who are new, that's what's new, what are the advances in AI, and we'll be talking about what new came up in this week. And I don't mean news per se, I really mean technologies and courses that are new. That's what I will show you. And now, for those who are here for the first time and they want to know, hey, what should I learn? What you should learn is click on that link. Okay, I call it AI education, and that shows all the courses that I looked at, all the technologies that we looked at in close to 3 years, which then makes sense. And we have about 111 lines. So that's what we do every time we look at something that happened this week. Okay, what we will look is in a very interesting course. I'm very personally very excited about this course. I'll tell you why. And I will also tell you about what I'm doing, all kinds of AI experiments that I'm running. So that's what we will be. If you want to say something right away, please do. But if you want also the mic, just tell me I want the mic. And that's because once a robot wanted a mic and then he didn't behave. Okay, so I will start from a new course by Andrew Ng, and then I will talk about my stuff because I believe that Andrew Ng's stuff is very, very interesting. So I will show you that's the course itself. If you want to go there, you can click and look at the course. That is a pretty extensive course, and the difference between what we have already done and the new one is that it is like a general framework for agentic altogether. I'm going back. We already looked at agentic a lot, right? So if we go here we can see agentic. Okay, one, two. So all kinds of agentic courses you can see. And what is different is that, first of all, it's one comprehensive agentic AI course. And secondly, it is not promoting any specific network. It's just promoting the whole approach agentic. And by the way, Andrew Ain doesn't hesitate to tell us a few very interesting things. So I'm opening it right here. That's what we will be looking at today. Okay. Now, what exactly we're looking at is, first of all, Andrew Ain tells us that he invented agentic. He invented the term, he invented the whole approach, and that is how he starts. He introduces that agentic is a workflow that involves LLMs. That's one way to explain what is agentic, and that is a more specific way than just asking ChatGPT. We all know you can go in ChatGPT and chat.com start talking, but that gives more structure. That approach gives more structure. So first of all, you will ask perhaps different LLMs, perhaps different workflow, the way you wanted to do, perhaps doing all in parallel. So we'll talk about this, what's the advantage of that is, and that's what it will look in the end. And the example that we will look at today is doing research, but not just telling LLM to do the research for you, even though we know ChatGPT can do that, but doing it in a more structured way where you control how it works. That's our approach. So that's an example. It was thinking here, it started coming with the conclusions. The reason it does all of that is because the agentic agent is behind. So you see, it uses Tavily for search, it uses research agent for collecting information. That's where the structure comes in, because otherwise you might ask, why do I even need that, right? Why don't I just open the chat window and start playing with it? Well, that's because you're building a replacement for yourself to some degree, which will do exactly that, which will play. And for example, the agents that are doing coding, very often they go away for 5-10 minutes and come back with some pull requests. Well, that's the idea. So the result will be in that example. And don't worry that you don't see how I did it, because I haven't shown it yet. So, for example, a complete research, and then now you come in. Some of the steps in this agentic may be human feedback. And that's an example of a human feedback that's informal. So I've done my work, research work, my agent worked, and now I am going to check the references to see if I need to go deeper. That's an overall, that's a jump in, but let's look at that in more detail. So Andrew Ng doesn't hesitate to put his marketing cap, and in that case, he declares that he invented the whole approach. When he invented the whole approach, he called it agent. Okay, so he called it agent, and people were asking, "Hey, Andrew, why do we need more terminology? We're already doing some kind of software approaches and design and patterns. And besides, people begin arguing, is that an agent or is it not an agent? Okay. And I remember how Andrew was telling us, the audience, that let's just call it agentic. Let's not argue what is agent and what is not an agent. Okay. Instead, um, let's just call it agentic if it feels like an agent. By the way, if we believe his claim, let's check that. So Andrew Ng claims that he invented the term agentic. Let's see if ChatGPT will agree to that. Okay. So it's a competitor, by the way, keep it in mind. Oh, so it agrees. It is plausible to say that he coined the term agentic. All right. And that's what I noticed. I noticed that he definitely lays that claim. And now, if you're talking about agentic, and if you build your agent and give it the rules, then you can build it with more or less autonomy. You can make it exactly do the right thing that you want. For example, you can decide I'm going to write essay on the black holes concept. Very interesting concept by itself, but I will first do a search, and here you can specify how to do a search, and then I'll get the links and then I will research. That's one way, not much autonomy. Or another way is there will be a choice of tools and it will itself decide which tools to use. Then it will be tools to how to extract information and then tools how to process. That is an introduction because as you will see, this agentic is still being formed. It's still being created as a design pattern. So we can have different degrees of autonomy from very little to very much and somewhere in between. Okay. And our plan for the whole course is this. Okay. We will investigate why is it good in general to use this agentic design pattern. I would call it design pattern, and what the applications could be. In the end, you will even get one code example, and we will look at that code examples. But you will see that that's pretty big course. That what I show you is just module one. From here on, from try the research engine, it goes beyond behind the paywall, and it looks like a big enterprise. So Andrew was preparing for that for a couple years. He said we were publishing courses, especially when they were publishing it with the people who would come to Andrew and they would offer their services to prepare a new course. A new course is actually a lot of work, and Andrew would take them, promote them. That is the first time that he begins to capitalize. I would call it capitalize and establish himself as a definite leader, not just on the hearsay, but a definite leader in that. So let's look a bit more into the course. So first of all, why is it good to use this agentic architecture? Well, the answer is that you get better quality. That chart shows that you can tell LLM just do what I need, and or you can tell it, okay, you did it but I don't quite like it, and let us improve it. So with GPT 3.5 you got to try it half of the times. With GPT 4 you got to try it 67. But when you change the approach, when you go into uh, agentic architectures, when you add this interventor, when you add language agent, and when you add LDB, and the promise is that the course will cover all of that. So you see the promise is pretty big. You will become a real expert in that and you will get real results. So when you do that, you'll get much higher percentage of success. That's the major reason to use agentic architecture. But there are a few more. You can tell it to go parallel, and you can tell it when and where to go parallel. That's another one. And you can control more and more how you do things. You can tell, do web search, use this particular engine, and another place, use another engine. I think we begin to see what the approach is. So how is that different from other frameworks? Again, you get much more control and much clearer approach and design. Okay, therefore, these are the benefits. You can get better performance, in other words, quality. You can get faster. You can get faster because you can parallelize it, and you have a modularity. You have freedom to add and mix and add additional components which you will be using. Okay, so far so good. I told you that the plan is right here, and that is not a complete plan. It is only module one. Well, okay, so my promise is that by the next time that we talk, I'll take the whole course. I'll go through all of the modules, not only one, and I will report to you, and I will pay for the subscription, and I will tell you how it went. Okay, with that, I can look at the comments and see what you guys say. Okay, so hello to Toronto, to RTP, to Boulder and Cincinnati, and Greg, who runs, as I know, similar courses. In fact, one of my colleagues pointed out very similar. Would it be okay if you post that event as well? Of course, it will be okay. And here you are. That is an event which is promoting. Uh, I understand that it's mostly for in person in California, but people can join remotely. This class is 2 days. The reason I so confidently talk about this is because I did look at it. Can you add to a Google Doc? You mean Greg, you mean put it into this one, right? Right here, right? Yeah, it makes sense. I'm putting it right here, and so that it will be preserved like this. It's not the same. I'll say 2-day class by Greg Markowski. M. I think with an I. Okay, thank you very much. A different teacher and a different course. Yeah, exactly that. But I put it here. I also do a summary every time, so it will appear on that summary as well. All right, that's wonderful. Now that comes to more of a discussion. Here we are. And what I'm experimenting with is how much you can build with a custom GPT. So I've done a couple things. That was not complete. Now it's more or less complete, and I will show you what I'm doing. So first of all, talking about continuous learning or lifetime learning. Now, if we go here, okay, I'll reveal my story. So if you go to that link, you will see that I chose the path of continuous learning long time ago, and I just made this claim, and you can see it. I really here, I explained it a while ago so that nobody would say that I just invented it. And I said back then that I had my reasons for learning. In this case, I'm Jewish. So it made sense to learn the Talmud as opposed to anything else. The Talmud itself has 2,711 pages, and that's about everything. it about philosophy and about monetary laws, torts, every part. So it's mainly legalistic, but also it's everything else. And the reason to study is, in my case, I wanted to know that, but I also look at it as a mental gymnastics. That's what I'm advocating. So back then I said, well, I kind of I called myself astute, but who knows what will happen later. So I'll keep learning every day. I'm learning. Doesn't matter if that subject interests you or no. You learn whatever, but you do learn. In my case, every day. Okay, if that's what we're doing, then the time has come. I talk about this. I run webinars, and every time I tell people good news and bad news. And the good news, well, okay, the bad news is you will have to move your brain, and you cannot avoid it. Can't. You want to compete with AI? There is no chance. So you want to partner with AI. The famous rule: you cannot beat them, join them. And then you discover that, hey, there's a partnership. He needs you as well as you need him. So there's only one provision, though, that you need to learn, and learning is best done, well, every day. Barring that, if you cannot do every day, at least I would say read my favorite batch. That's a newsletter. Many already probably subscribed. That is very little, but at least you'll see all the advertisement that Andrew puts for his course. So let's open it again. Oh, not that. Batch. Okay. So he announces his course and talks about why it is good to do agentic. He also notices other things. So that's to my, in my interest. It's like, what do you buy today? And you can have agentic bias for you. So not something that I would be interested in. It's not something you would do as an exercise every day. So I just mentioned it. Read it nevertheless, because didn't I tell you that you need to learn new things, whether you like them or no? Okay, so that's my exercise, and for that I indeed have an agent. So let's go back. Let's close the extra things. Let's get here. So the agent is here. It's MosesAI. What I have done is I created a complete agent using a prepared thing. So you can build it yourself, and that's what we'll be talking about or have talked about. But you can also create one on your own for that. And I showed you that yesterday, I remember, but I'll completed it. So you go to Explore. In Explore, you either create one or you look at what you already have. In this case, I already have two of them. So I'll be talking about two of them. And I redirected it from a domain. So for example, I can open my personal separate one and open MosesAI.org, and I chose to redirect it transparently so that you see that in fact you are going to ChatGPT custom engine. After that, it's only using, well, it's preferably only using my information, and I believe that makes it special. So the curated data is what goes in that engine, and after that you can start talking about that, provided there is a consistent worldwide philosophy coming from my pages. Okay, that's one thing that I wanted to show, and it's working. We can, oh, try this. Why Moses is better than chat. GPT. If it's better, then it should tell us. I get those errors with the ChatGPTs all the time. I'll try it again. Why? It seems like the custom engines run into network, what they call as a network problem. Let's see, it works in the end. And it tells you the obvious things in this case. All I wanted to verify that that approach makes sense, that the pages work, I get exactly the curated uh, knowledge, and yes, you can use it maybe as your study partner. Okay, very well. The other one that I worked upon and I started and it kind of worked was this idea, the AI education advisor. So you see it from my point of view, from the designer point of view. And from the designer point of view, I cannot get to it like that. I need to say explore, then go to this one, and then edit. Then you will see what I have put there. So what I have done is using exactly our webinars. So we had 3 years of webinars, didn't we? Okay. If so, we can open that table that contains over 100 courses. And without even adding information to this, what if I feed that to my custom ChatGPT and use that as an architectural advisor? Okay, you see my idea. I already told you that idea. Now I really wanted to do it. Here's what I got. Okay, here's what I got. I told it, I have this 3 years worth of work. Can I offer that to you guys as, I have a new thing about AI. I want to build something. I want to learn something. What would be the best approach? Similar to what we do here, but in the AI way. Okay, so what it did, it's said, yeah, great, it always encourages you. And then I can ask questions. Okay, and that's what I've done. Here's what it resulted in. I'll just show you the end result. It said, you know what I can do? I can take your results and I can tell you which of the courses would be useful for what you could do. Now, that's not complete because it wants me to take lots of courses, and that's not what I want to do. I want specific courses and why you would want these specific courses. But you see my idea, it partially worked out because it got the idea, it started working on that. It's not complete yet. Next time it will be complete. So then I will give you the published URL and you will be able to use it as as an AI advisor on itself. That was my plan. Okay, and we basically covered that all. Let's see what we have in way of reactions. So open the chat. Okay, if you have to drop out like Doug had, no worries because now we have a good structure. So if you go to elephant scale here and you go to the webinars, then you see that's an advertisement for the webinar and probably we have the latest. It says register now, and in this register now you need to Okay, we haven't updated for today, but we have updated all the 100 broadcasts. So you go to YouTube, and eventually all of them will be there. You see, the latest is from about 2 weeks ago. You can see them, and whenever you drop out, you can still find that particular broadcast. And it's a funny image of me. And you can then go through whatever went. So I wanted to show you this new course. I want to show you another trainer. Let's do that. Okay. And I wanted to show you that there is this idea of learning every day, because just because you need to keep exercising your brain. By the way, ChatGPT always trains itself, so we should do too. And that assures that we come to a great partnership. At least on the theory is that the future is partnership with AI. By the way, I can tell you a few things. So we're talking to universities, we're talking to everybody else. It's a whole big world, and everybody needs AI education. So we're doing this nonstop, and some universities are interested. Of course, university is a long story. For example, the suggestion from them was, yeah, it's a great idea, but let's do it in summer. As far as I know, it's fall right now, so the summer is 3/4 of the year away, but eventually it will come. So I believe that is the very interesting future that's being built right now. Let me do this. I will stop share, and here in the chat, I will suggest questions and also suggestions. Okay, Marcio, is the secure coding in AI happening? How can I subscribe? Is this the correct URL? So let's check, and then I'll tell you the story. Let's see. Let's take that URL. So the URL looks right, but I could never organize myself well enough to actually run it. I think it will be a good idea. I cannot maybe promise every week, but I can at least promise every 2 weeks. Okay. Now, I am writing a book. The book is right here. Let me try to show you what is there. Okay, it should be here. Let's try. That's the book. So you don't see it because the publishing house asked me not to, God forbid, publish it. But I'm moving. Well, it doesn't look very promising, but I have some chapters that are completed. So I could go through every chapter that I complete, and that would be the content. Now, how many, who else wants it? Who else wants AI and security? Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Okay, I also think it's interesting. I also think it's an important topic. I especially get excited about hacking because the structure of the book will be like that. First, how you build it, and then how you hack it, and then how you protect it. That will be the structure. So maybe I have two people mildly interested. Now, you see that I'm egoistic. I'm using your presence. Oh, I didn't show you. I stopped sharing. I was showing you the book, I thought. Well, that's the book. So really, I'm writing a book, and the editor asks me every week, "Where's the progress?" And sometimes there is progress. So, okay, okay, makes sense. Then let us do this. I will arrange every 2 weeks. Every week will be too much, but every 2 weeks is okay. So we will do it on Thursday. We'll do it at a time that we wanted, 2 to 3 ET. In other words, 1 to 2 Central is okay. Okay, so thank you for pushing me. That's a great idea, and I will continue. So the nicer thing about deadlines is the whooshing sound as they fly by date. That's great. I like that. In my case, it's also a letter from the editor. So yeah, I'll say restore. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. And I wish you a great weekend and then a great year ahead. Thank you. And by the way, Marcel, if you give me your email, then, or I give you my email, then I will announce when it's done. Yeah, that will be my email. And if you're right, I will keep you updated in addition to the standard channels. All right. Thank you, everybody. Be well and all the best.